Welcome to the Build Resilience series, one day at a time. Continuing with our Simon's journey of self, we now enter the final phase of this journey of self. This is a phase in which Simon would be experiencing all that he has been practicing for a while, the changes. This is where the transformation happens. And once he starts experiencing it, this is where we come to a conclusion of our deep, intensive coaching work, which is a wrap. But then there's a lot more that one does even after it, along with certain things that one has to practice. One thing that I would like to mention here, friends, is personal development or life coaching is a lifelong process. It doesn't really have a start or end date because our life keeps changing, and the only permanent factor in our life is change. The techniques and tools that all encompass in this entire journey of self is basically developed, designed, and created to equip anyone practicing it with two principles. First, you need to put that into action if you really want to enjoy the results. The second is it's a practice. And when I say it's a practice, which means one has to do it on a consistent basis. And that's what we will talk more in detail in this particular series. So here's a simple representation of how I coach Simon in his journey of self to put things into practice. For each and everything, every technique, whether it was within the emotional intelligence that I taught him, or the journal prompts, or the meditation techniques, or the concept of mindfulness, or as simple as breathing techniques to certain acceptance techniques that I taught him in our entire coaching program. For each method, each intervention, each technique, I gave Simon this cycle. This is what has helped him put things into action. And it begins with a goal. Here's where I said, if the goal for Simon is to be more emotionally intelligent, he has to write the why behind it with a reason. This is actually also called cognitive restructuring, where when you put things on paper with the reasons and the ways that you plan to do it, your subconscious mind is at work. And this particular method then helps you find a way out and pushes you in a direction that you need to go. So we started with the goal and the why behind it, because unless you have a clear, specific reason for doing or achieving a certain objective, it's highly likely that we might just leave things or just drop things because we're doing things on a whim and not with a specific aim. So anything to put into practice has to go through this. To that, we then added the timeline, which is by when. So if Simon had to complete a specific case study and reflect and find an answer to it, even for that, even though it's a very subjective thing, I gave him a method by which he need to put a time by when he will achieve that. This again is part of neuroscience, which helps you not just close a loop, but also get things done on time. Finally, this do it is where you're actually in the action. You're really doing it. This monitor progress is our feedback calls, which is part of our coaching program, where basis on what we have decided here, we check how much of progress one is making. Here's where the client, in this case, Simon, was experiencing the progress. It's quite individual, but he was very happy with the way he was moving on. This is the change part where we make modifications, because just like our life, anything that we put into practice, since it is dealing with us, which is the human being and the human mind, not necessarily everything would give us things as we envision them to be. There will always be a variance of what we think and what really comes out. Regardless of that, sometimes there are cases where people do get stuck and they just don't know, it's not working for them. Here's where our feedback calls and modifications comes into picture, where as a coach, I give that nudge, I give that push to my client. In case of Simon, there were a few areas where he was quite literally stuck, and it took a while for him, and some changes in the overall techniques that I have given him, giving him additional techniques or giving him another way of doing the same thing, which helped him move ahead. This is a picture of how Simon's journey of self would look like. So his goal, I just picked up one and I've written this so that you get a clear idea of how the cycle works. So of the many things that Simon wanted, one thing was very clear. He wanted to find a job, but a job that is more sync up with his KSA, which was knowledge, skills, and abilities. Because of whatever he had experienced in his previous job and his inability to deal with his bosses and client, somewhere in our entire work that we did, Simon also realized and did a lot of research work on the kind of roles that he should pursue vis-a-vis the role he was in. So his timeline was, in the next 6 months, he should research, work on the specific aim and goals that I had helped him create, with timelines by when he will finish this. Along with that, a plan B, meaning if he's looking for a specific role within his industry, what is it an alternative that he could look for if in case he fails to find that? So this was part of the timeline. Along with that, it had a plan B. In the do it part, we did the research, the applications, and the preparations. Here's where Simon did an intensive research on his own industry and the possible roles that he could get into, which were more to do working online, virtually, and with machines, and less with people, which does not demand him to be really dealing with different time zones, which he was doing in his previous job. So we had to rework on the research part several times to understand, does such kind of role exist? And if they do, where are they? What he could do. Finally, how he could apply, what route he should take, the reference part or the direct applications. Then how well can he prepare himself? Does he really have that KSA, the knowledge, skill, and abilities to the role that he wants for himself? If not, can he get trained? If yes, can he just simply apply? If not, is this something very new, and is he really mentally prepared to take that leap of faith? So this is all what was going on in this particular thing. I would monitor his progress as he worked towards it, because we had times set for each and every minute task that we came up in the plan, which was here. And then modifications were made basis on what we found in the real life experience to what he had envisioned. So, friends, this is just a glimpse of how an individual who was laid off, fired, not really happy in his job, had several issues, but was able to not just build his resilience, but also find a way out of the mess he was in, alongside work on his ability to bounce back, which has a cascading effect, not just on his professional life, but also on the personal life, which had suffered a lot. So here's what happens when you apply and enroll with me. I call this the triple C, coach consultation call. So if you're interested to explore this with me, the first thing you do is you have the link given in the description box, and you'll find it also on my website. You fill in the application form. It's actually a Google survey form with some set of questions. Now, this questions basically is to help me, your coach, understand how best can I be of help to you. So this is the very idea here, is to help you, and I can help you best only when I understand and get an idea of what kind of help you need. So the application form has a set of questions you need to answer, submit. Basis on the details you have shared, your call is scheduled by me, and the call is for a 60 to a 90 minute. It can vary in time depending on our discussion, which then within the call, you will be put across to a specific methodology that I have designed and created, helping you and helping me. How it helps you is it helps you experience how life coaching works, and it helps me check whether I'm the right coach for you, because I believe I want to really add that value to the trust you repose in me when you sign up with me. So I usually check fitment, and at times there could be issues where are beyond my scope of work, and I may just redirect you to the right resource, because I think each one of us deserve the best. So not necessary that coaching is the right answer for you. So I may redirect you, but if everything goes well, you enroll. And we start. Here's the resource referral. Basically, this is where I was talking about when the fitment is not, uh, where we realize that the person is not the right fitment, and I may just give you a resource to refer to, which can be of more help than me as your coach. Otherwise, we enroll, and then from this, from the resource referral, this is when there's no fitment found, and otherwise it's enrollment. And from here, the final step here is the coaching journey. Your journey of self begins here. Thank you. And I look forward to having a quick conversation with you. Thank you.